Welcome to Spaces Organized and Styled, the podcast. My name is Caitlin Atkins, and I am an organization expert and life coach. I am the professional organizer to help you get those goals achieved and work through any life challenges that come up along the way. If you're wanting to declutter your home, your office, your schedule, or your life, then you have found the right place for you. In this podcast, I will share with you the tips, the tricks, and the processes to help you get organized, stay organized, and share some life wisdom along the way. Now let's get started. Hello. All right, final day, National Clutter Awareness Week. You made it. I am super excited to talk about decluttering of food. I have my notes here. I decided to do decluttering of food for a couple reasons. One, COVID, obviously. And two, I actually learned something within the last couple weeks that I thought I wanted to pass along and share with you guys. I thought, oh my gosh, if I didn't know this, who else doesn't know this? So I am talking all about the decluttering of food. Now, we're going to go through the steps, obviously. So the first thing, prep the space. Just like everything else that we've done this week, we're going to prep our space that all of our food is going to be going, taking out of and laying it all out. So I would recommend putting something down on either the floor or the dining room table or your kitchen table. I don't really like going into clients' homes and not having something to protect, especially working with food. This is because things leak, things spill, it's going to be a mess. You could be getting flour everywhere. So go ahead and put something down that you know that you can clean up or you can wash, or if you just don't care, just be mindful of that it's probably going to be a little dirty. All right, so the first thing, like always, well, I guess it's now the second thing, is pull everything out. Take it all out. And yes, I am looking at everybody who what was the word? Bulk, overbought during COVID. COVID did something to us, obviously, but COVID really forced some people to go into the stores and to overbuy, overspend, overindulge. Pull it all out, even all the stuff that you bought. What I find to be so interesting is how many of my clients actually bought food that they have no intention of using, no intention of eating or consuming or making. And they did this because they got panicked and they got scared and they were concerned about what's going to happen if there is no more food left. And so they overbought. It is so interesting to now be kind of coming out of COVID. The shortage and the supplies we're fine. We've got it all under control now. Everything is good. You don't have those issues with limited quantities of things. Oh, do you remember all those signs on the grocery store of one box per person of pasta? It's crazy to think about that. So now we have all this food in our house that we have no intention of using because we didn't use it during COVID. If you did not use it during COVID, when are you going to eat it? You're not. So that should be kind of like your standard. I will take a personal, example. Went through a vegan phase. Still, whatever. Went through a vegan phase. I have a frozen cauliflower vegan pizza in my freezer right now. If I'm not eating that during COVID, I'm not eating that. If you didn't consume it during COVID, you're not eating it. All right, so I want you to pull out everything. Let's start with the pantry. Let's start with all the dry items, the things that aren't going to spoil taking out of the fridge. We're going to get there. Let's just do all the dry items. I was very fortunate to have gone to a donation center a couple weeks ago, and I got a tour, and something that I did not know of. Obviously, I thought, expired food, you cannot donate that. You cannot donate expired food, obviously. Not true. Huge light bulb moment. I was so shocked to know that they would actually take expired food or past date food. Obviously, I want you to double check with the donation center of your choice. Call them and ask. I was blown away. My mind was blown to know that they do this. So for example, what they do is for dairy products, they have a 30-day past. Okay. For dry goods, they have 6 months past. For canned foods, a year. Couldn't believe that. A year past the canned foods, they would actually take it. Crazy. Salad dressings is 6 months, and boxed juices is a year. So don't just discount the expired food as you're going through your food and you're looking at things. This also is making sense now when I do a pantry organizing. What's nice about the pantry and the food cleanouts is that it's pretty much a solo job. I go in and I do the job. I need a little bit of input from the client, but overall it's pretty much the organizer just running the show. And my standard and my set procedure is to always put aside any expired food and I allow the client to go through it. This is now making sense as to why some clients will say, no, I actually want to keep expired food. And I always thought, okay, whatever, it's your house. You do you, girl, or, men. But yeah, this is actually making sense. If there is CDC guidelines and restrictions around this about what they can take, I'm not sure if this is dependent upon state. I know there's federal regulations as well as state regulations, so double check with your, like I said, your food bank. If it is a government food bank, apparently there's different regulations with that, if it's versus an individual or a nonprofit. So just double check. I was mind blown to know that you can actually donate expired food. Obviously, they're not gonna take anything that's super dented because it could be exposed to bacteria, especially around the seams. So make sure you're mindful of that. I wanted to kind of break down a little bit the difference between sell by, best by, used by, expired by, and packaged on. So this is all gonna be in my actual blog post. I have it written out here, the different explanations for each of them. The sell by is going to be pretty much what you expect. It's going to be sold by a certain date. The date of consumption after that is going to be a few days after the sell by date. The best by date is going to be best by or not best by like as in the store, but best by or best if used by. It's fairly similar to the sell by, that's similar to used by. It's going to be the date that the manufacturer is going to list onto the product itself. And the used by date is going to be very similar to the best by date. It's going to be the date that the manufacturer has recommended and decided is the date that the food should be consumed or used by. Expired date, that's going to be the date that the manufacturer has decided that food should no longer be good of quality, and the packaged on date is going to be the date that it was packaged on. So just a little bit of background as you're looking at your items and seeing these different dates on there. That's what all of them mean. So you've gone through your dry goods, you've decluttered, you've recognized that I'm not eating this one canned good that I thought I would need, and I've just bought it anyways because everybody was buying stuff during COVID. Go ahead, figure out if you can donate that, figure out if you're going to use that. Kind of goes back to my mention yesterday, my comment yesterday, that if you've got recipes that you think that you're eventually going to use, I'm going to set the same boundaries and standards on today. If you have food that you feel like I just can't donate this, I just can't throw it away, this is where the organizer kind of comes into play. I'm giving you a set deadline to use it by. So be creative. If you've got that canned good that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to use this, but I just can't get rid of it, you are using it this week. This is your last week, final week. If it's not done today, if it's not done this week, it's out. You can't prolong these things. You just got to do it. All right, so you've done your dry goods. You've put them all back. Again, set boundaries. I think I did a podcast about pantry organization. If not, I will. But you've got to set containers. You've got to set boundaries. Otherwise, it's just going to get overrun again. You've got to set limits for yourself. So then we're going to go into the fridge. Anything in your refrigerator or your freezer, pull it all out. See what items you didn't use during COVID. I have a frozen vegan cauliflower pizza at home. It's getting used today or it's getting tossed. If I'm not, if you didn't use it during COVID, if you didn't use it when we're all stuck at home, you're not going to use it. Go ahead and see what is expired, what is spoiled, what has mold growing on the back of it that you shoved way back in that fridge. Pull it out, get it out of there. If you've got freezer burnt items, get those out of there. Cartons of ice cream. Goodness gracious. This might be a personal thing in my home, but we have more cartons of ice cream than we even know what to do with. So I have set a rule that before another carton of ice cream or popsicle box comes into this house, they all have to be eaten or gotten rid of. You're always kind of left with that one flavor of the popsicles that nobody wants, that you're trying to get rid of. Get rid of them, toss them out, clear out that space. There is going to be, there's going to be things that are going to be a little bit harder for you to remove. And again, I just want to set those boundaries, set in place those time limits, those time frames. If you are not, if you're not feeling like you can donate them, if you're not feeling like you can part with them, just try to use them this week. You've got the week. Plan out your meals, be creative around them, figure out how you can incorporate those into a dinner this week or a meal this week to try to get rid of those items, and only buy from now on the stuff that you actually like to use. Don't buy the things that you have no intention of ever cooking with or using. One final thought that I have here on the donating of items, what I found also to be really interesting when I did my walkthrough is the bulk items. That was really interesting to me, that they don't necessarily like the big bags of flour, or they don't like the big bags that you get at the bulk resale, the bulk stores. They do take, the one that I visited and I had a tour of, they did take large bags of rice because those were easy to take from the larger bags down into smaller bags, individual. But really ask them, bulk items, you'd think that they'd love it. Apparently they don't. So inquire, ask about these things, are all good things to know. Again, if you're moving, perfect time to go through your pantry. Why move food from one home that you have no intention of ever using to another home where you're not going to use it there either? So go through, start using up all that stuff, start donating it, getting rid of it. If it's overly extended, throw it away. All right, I am super excited that you guys joined me for the National Clutter Awareness Week. I really hope that this week has brought some really great tips, that things that you just hadn't thought of before. Obviously, if you've got other questions, if you've got other specific weird things that you have in declutter that you feel like you should, DM me, put them in an email, throw them up on my website. I will riff about them, I'll put them on a podcast, I'll do a blog about them, and I'll give you all the information, the tips that I have to get those things decluttered. I'm going to continue with my podcast weekly now, so you're not going to be so overwhelmed, but thank you so much for joining me in the National Clutter Awareness Week. I hope that you've decluttered something. Take it one step at a time, break it down, don't get overwhelmed, and yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.